Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and I'm Mumma Loves You GB here on FlossTube, but also over on Instagram as well. Welcome to the Sunday morning briefing. It is Sunday the 26th of September and this is FlossTube number 48. So we are well cracking on towards FlossTube number 50, although in terms of actual videos I've well surpassed that, but numbered videos we're getting close to number 50. For those of you that have watched before, welcome back. For those of you who are new, welcome along. And for those of you who've watched before, you'll have seen this background before. And this background means that I'm back in the Cotswolds this weekend. And I've brought all my stuff with me, one of which is quite large. And I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, it would have been my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary today. So mum wanted to come back to the Cotswolds. She's been staying with us for the last month. She wanted to come back to the Cotswolds to visit the grave, put some flowers down, and just spend a bit of time back here before she comes back with us for another week. Yes, mum does come backwards and forwards ever such a lot for us and we're so grateful to her. So yeah, it would have been my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary today. So I've spent most of the day kind of stomping around in graveyards really, because we went to, as I said, put some flowers on my dad's grave, and then there are 3 other members, in fact there are 4 other members of our family buried in that cemetery. So one is just behind my dad, but the other 3 are elsewhere in the cemetery. So I took it upon myself to go and find them because I haven't been to their graves for years and years and years and years. So I thought today I'd go and see if I could find them and remember where they were. So we went and found their graves. And then we also went to a little village, well actually it's not a village, it's a town called Burford. And Burford is where, you may remember 2 or 3 videos ago, might even be more than that now, I told you about a type of grave called a wool grave or a bale grave. And it was thought that these are the graves of prestigious wool merchants, and the tops of the graves resemble bales of wool. And I'll put some pictures up there. Well, Burford seems to be like the epicentre of these bale graves, and there's only about 100 of them around the Cotswolds, and most of them are within 10 miles or so of Burford. So I went and had a good look at those as well, seeing as we were in Burford earlier. And we had a curry this evening. We're going for a nice Sunday lunch tomorrow. We had a curry this evening, and I think the chef has been busy. And he's probably in a bit of a temper because I had a chicken jalfrezi and I found 6 chillies in my chicken jalfrezi. It was quite a lot hotter than it normally was. And so for about the last half an hour I've really felt like I haven't been able to actually close my mouth properly. It was just a bit too hot for me. So I've got a drink on hand in a Black Watch tartan mug, which will be quite appropriate later on. So I've got lots and lots to share with you again this week. I don't know quite how my little world of cross-stitching moves so fast, but it really, really does. And what I'm so super excited about, I'm so excited about everything, but I'm super excited about what is in this package. Now this was delivered to me on Thursday, something that I bought, and I can't wait to show you what's inside because it is really exciting. I'm going to save that till the end. So because of that, and what I've been up to this week, I haven't done a super amount of stitching. I've only actually worked on 2 things. The first thing that I've worked on is actually a new start. I know. In one breath I tell you I've got loads of things on, I've got loads of whips started, and then I start something new. But don't we all? So last week I was talking about Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery, and he is doing a black sampler November where he's asking people to stitch a sampler which is either black or has got very dark stitching on. And I've had a sampler idea in my head for quite some time, and so I decided to chart it up, and this week I've started to stitch it. So I'm going to give you a little sneak peek, and if she comes out all right, I am actually planning to release her. I've done the top 2 rows. She will be a horizontal sampler, and I might make her into a drum, or I might frame. It depends how it comes out. So this is my piece of fabric, and that is my top 2 rows. So I'm stitching this on 36 count summer khaki, and I am stitching it with some black sulky. I absolutely love sulky thread, the 12 weight sulky thread on 36 count. And so that's my top 2 rows. She's probably going to be about 5 inches deep when she's finished. And I'm hoping to get her finished next week. I'm being a little bit mysterious, and I am actually trying to think, I can't remember actually how much I've already told you about it. It's in memory of my granny's firstborn, and I do remember telling you this actually. My granny's firstborn baby, who was called Nessie. No link really to my daughter. I knew that she'd had a baby called Nessie, but when we were thinking of names for Ness, that wasn't part of it. The reason we chose Ness is because it means from the headland or from the coast. It is a Scottish name, but it wasn't in relation to this little baby that died. So yeah, I've got a little bit more to go on her, and so I'm really pleased with the way she's looking so far. And the other thing that I've worked on is my MamaWitchCrossStitch pumpkin gardener. And there she is. She's coming along an absolute treat. So you might have seen Chrissy, Finally a Farm Girl. She did a finish on hers. She didn't use the Cool Full colours. She used her own conversion, which looks absolutely fabulous. But if you've got the chart, this is what it looks like in the Cool Full colours. And this is a piece of 30 count Weeks Dye Works Dolphin. So she's very nearly finished herself. I've still got the rest of the border to put on. She needs another foot, and then she's holding like a broom, I think it is. And so as I said, I'm just using the Cool Full DMC because the colour palette is fantastic. But you could do a lot with her. Her dress is actually only 2 different colours of green. So if you wanted to do her dress a different colour, you just have to pick out 2 colours of blue, one lighter, one darker. You could do whatever you like with her. So that is all I've stitched on this week. One day I didn't stitch at all because I was too busy charting Mary Small. And if you've seen me on my Instagram, you'll have seen that I've charted Mary Small. I had a lot of people ask me what program I used, and I used PC Stitch, which I think is now up to PC Stitch 11. I downloaded it as a free trial, which anybody can do, or I believe you can still do it if the conditions are the same. And you can have a play around with it, you can use all the features. The only thing you can't do is actually save anything. So you can get a free trial of it, see how you go, see how you like it. And then at the time I bought mine, and I've had mine 3 or 4 years now, I think it was £50 for the to get the upgrade to be able to save things. So that's what I use. I like it. The specialty stitches are okay. There is actually a specialty stitch on Mary. She's got a long arm cross stitch on hers. So I'm just sort of trying to work out how I'm going to chart that. It's only one little row, but yeah, I was quite surprised to see it actually. I didn't think there was anything on there. Right, freebies, excuse me. Now, if you are not on MamaWitchXStitch on Facebook, then you need to be, because she has released another freebie. And it's a tribute to Stephen King, whose birthday it was this week. And I'm going to have to put a picture up here, because although I've printed it out, the front cover didn't print. So if I hold it right back there, you can see it's the 2 girls in the blue dresses, but they're pumpkin heads. How amazing is that? So go along, get yourself on the Facebook group, and you will find the freebie. And you will find the previous freebie, which was the Little Frog Wizard, and I think there's an older freebie than that. So it's definitely worth joining the Facebook group. And then last week I mentioned a freebie and I never got around to showing it. So this was my freebie from last week, and again, it's not helpful. I'll hold it right back here because there actually isn't a picture of this as a chart. I do have a picture of it finished. This was by the SubRosaDesign, and that is on their blog spot. So if you wondered where the freebie was last week, I did list it on the show notes, but I didn't actually show it. So I said, yeah, I'll definitely show both of them this week. So I'll link that one again, and also the MamaWitchCrossStitch one. Right, so if you follow me on Instagram, and if you saw my video last week, you'll know that I have got a bit of an interest now in natural dyeing, or dyeing with natural substances. Natural chemicals, foods, wood barks, all sorts of things. As soon as you start looking into it, there's all sorts of things that you can dye with. And so I was having a go last week with red cabbage, and what I did was I mordanted my fabric with alum, which is aluminium sulfate, and you make it up into a liquid with lots of water, and you let your fabric soak in it. And I let my fabric soak in mine for quite a few hours, and then I had it in a slow cooker. So I'd let my red cabbage, sorry, lost the plot then and he said beetroot. I'd let my red cabbage cook in the slow cooker for a good few hours, and I think I'd left it overnight as well once I'd turned off the slow cooker. And then I let my fabric kind of steep in it for a good 24 hours as well. And I'm really pleased with the colour that it's come out in. So this was a 35 count piece going in, and I haven't stitched on it yet, so I don't know how close it is still to 35 count. I would imagine it's probably got a bit more. That's a fold because I ironed it and then screwed it up. I would imagine it's probably closer now to at least a 36, if not a 38. It doesn't look quite a 40, I wouldn't say, but either way. So I haven't got my mum to serge this piece yet. I'll have to get it tomorrow. So it's a very, very soft, I keep trying to find the right, a very, very soft kind of pinky purpley. Sorry, it's probably like watching the Blair Witch Project today. I'm just, here, have a look at this. Wave it about, wave it about. In fact, about that's not bad. But if I put some white in front of it. There we go, yes, it's kind of like a really soft, pinky, purpley lavender. And I just did this straight. I did think about baking it, try and get a bit more mottling on it, but I thought I'd just do it straight and I'll see what happens. I do have some more white fabric on order, so I've got a few more things to try. The one thing that I'm not sure about is the longevity of the colour. I would imagine dyes are a little bit like medicines in the fact that we used to use lots and lots of dyes, and over the years we've perfected dyes and found synthetic dyes that last longer and longer. So I wouldn't stitch anything that I wanted to be any kind of heirloom, I don't think, on this yet, because I'm still not 100% confident in my knowledge of the dyeing process to know how this fabric is going to change in 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, how it's going to change if it's exposed to light for a long period of time. But I'm really enjoying the process, and I'm perfectly happy to stitch on it for little smalls, for spring pieces, summer pieces, you know, just nothing that I think is going to be an heirloom. But face it, at the end of the day, probably Ness is going to chuck most of my stuff in the charity shop when I'm gone, so we shall see, we shall see. Yeah, maybe she might keep some of it, but yeah, I'm really enjoying finding out about the process, but it's the longevity of it that I haven't found as many answers to the questions as I want to yet. Right, giveaways. I had some giveaways last week, and I have remembered to bring them with me today. So, sorry, I just need another little piece of paper. So if you remember, I had 4 giveaways last week. 3 of them were little kits which came from Caroline Seldon, whose business is called Haystack Stitching. So she designs under the name Haystack Stitching, but she's also one half of the Kindred Spirit Stitchers UK, which are a group of, well, a pair of ladies that are organising lots of retreats and stitching tours and things like that. So she gave me 3 of her products from Haystack Stitching to give away, and from the lovely Lynn Mosley I had this one as well, Sampler Studies. So the first one that I had chosen was this one, which is, the code word was pink, the code word, and that was Susan Farrington. So Susan, if you can get in touch with me, either DM me on Instagram, or I'll put my email address in the contact box below, and I'll have commented on your comment as well. So get in touch with me somehow, give me your address in the UK, and I will post that off to you. The purple one was won by Golden Stitcher UK. So again, either DM me on Instagram or use the email address below and let me know your UK postal address and I'll get it out to you. So congratulations. The Freedom was won by Geneva Clark. So congratulations again, get in touch with me. And the last one, now this is where my handwriting might have failed me. This one, and the code word was study, I think I've written Christy Dargue, D-A-R-G-U-E. Sorry if I've just butchered that. I'm obviously putting the results from the comment picker up there, so you're probably all laughing at me now going, that's not what it says at all. That's not this lovely lady's name. But if that's your name up there, then please get in touch with me and I will get this in the post to you as well. So congratulations to you all, and I will get those out to you as soon as I can. I've not been brilliant with the post. I had a load of Flossdrops to post out this week and I've just not even been anywhere near the post, so apologies for that, and I will get there, and then I'll get in touch with my next batch of people. Haul, I've got quite a lot of haul today, so some of it's been ordered from quite some time ago. For example, I've got all my Needlework Expo pre-orders in, and others of it I've just ordered. I don't feel guilty at all, and not at all. It's my hobby, it's my money, I like it. I don't need this much, but I like it. So I have ordered, and this is in no real particular order, I'd ordered some threads from Patchwork Rabbit, amongst other things I've ordered from Patchwork Rabbit. Cherry wine. Now, I'll give you a little trick, which you probably all know already. So Patchwork Rabbit and lots of the other shops that I buy from always have a minimum order. And so if I'm close to the minimum order, I quite like to pick up these 10-yard skeins of Gentle Arts, because you get obviously twice the amount of a normal skein and it's not twice the price. So I haven't got any plans for cherry wine, but I just really like the colour, so I thought I'd get that. I have started to also collect the threads for the Jack-o'-lantern Jubilee book that came out this year, and so I've got a couple here, gingerbread and copper penny. And then I've also started to collect the threads for this fella. Let me just take my little sticky note off, because then this fella, who is The Social Call by the Cricket Collection. Now, if you remember, this was sent to me by the lovely Mary for my birthday, and there he is. Now, he's a bit of a funny one because he is stitched on a really small count. No, a really big count. small count. Big stitches, small numbers, yeah. He would have been big. Big stitches, 10 count. There you go. I should have said 10 count, shouldn't I? And you'd have all gone, oh yeah. So lots of the threads I don't think will necessarily work for the count that I want to stitch them on, which is probably going to be 32 or 36 count. So I've ordered the DMC, and that's the DMC there. And I've gone for Weeks Dye Works Juniper for his coat. And the rest I think I'm just going to play by ear. It does talk about whisper threads for his beard, which will be okay if I stitch him on 32 count. It might be a little bit of a nightmare if I stitch him on 36 count. Although I quite often with whisper thread, and for those of you who don't know whisper thread, it's the sort of thread that is quite fluffy, and then when you finish stitching with it you fluff it up even more, so it's great for things like sheep and beards, and sheep with beards. So I always stitch half a stitch with a normal white DMC, and then I do my top stitch with the whisper thread, because if you try and do both stitches with the whisper thread it can get really super tight, so I much prefer just doing the top stitch with it. So yeah, I'm going to do his coat in Juniper, use these DMCs, and then see where I get to from there. But I don't know what, I'm really undecided about what colour background to do him on, whether to do a grey or a summer khaki or what. Nothing's really leapt out at me yet, so so I shall just sit on that for a little bit longer. So here are my picks that I got from Needlework Expo. Well, should I say these are my pre-orders. I may have placed an order this weekend just gone in a few places for other things that came out of this Needlework Expo that I hadn't pre-ordered, that I've grown to love even more since it came out. You know how it is. But this was one of the first ones of the must-have group, and this is by Lucy Beam, and it says, I don't know who used my fabric scissors, but I will find you. And I've got another one of hers which I seem to remember says, I will cut you. So I quite like that sort of passive aggressive type of stitching. And then this one, this is the Evaluation Centre for Disturbed Women, Ward B. Now I don't know what we would say putting those two charts together about my kind of state of health when I purchased these charts. I think I may be slightly irate about something, but yeah, putting them together, they're quite an aggressive pair, aren't they? And then this one, this has been shown left, right and centre, but deservedly so. This is pure genius. Pure genius. So much so that I'm actually going to take it out of the packet and get the glare off of it. Oh, there's things inside it. What's that? What's that? Oh, it's got another one of those cards that you can put on the back of your stitching so that the people in the charity shop know who stitched it. So there, the blue flower. I love that. And it does say, let's see if I can read it. Though my soul may set in darkness, it will rise in perfect light. I have loved the stars too fondly to be fearful of the night. So I absolutely love that. Now I have started the previous one from the blue flower, which was released last year, I think, Huckleberry Farm, and I would love to say that I'm gonna make myself finish Huckleberry Farm first before I start that, but I also know what I'm like. I'm gonna save that for last. So here's some other little bits and bobs. Just grabbed a copy of that. I've always liked that one. Michelle McGraw calls this the witch that she thinks has got the big tatas. She calls them tatas. if you're from the UK, you might recall a programme called Allo Allo, and they constantly went on about a painting called The Fallen Madonna with the big boobies. So I always just think of her like that. Are YouTube going to get me for that, do you think? Oh, well, I just won't mention it to them. So I've got that one. I also picked up these two, which I hadn't seen before, both by Thistles, and I don't think I've actually got a chart by Thistles. I think these are my first two, although I have liked Thistles charts in the past. Sorry, stop mid-sentence there, because I was too busy looking at the chart. So this is a series of 12 little mittens, which you sew and then stitch. And I got this one from Arts and Designs up in Scotland. So there's that one. And then this one as well, again by Thistles, again from Arts and Designs. Sorry for the... and it's called Broom Keeps. So it's a series of these little pillows. And I think they look fabulous. I really like those. You're probably thinking, what's her eyes doing while she's showing this? I'm too busy looking at the pattern. So you've got a cat, a pumpkin, this little set of signs which says Halloween, cats, witches, spiders, boo. Then the spider in the web, and then the little witch's feet. And I like the fact that they're all done on different colours of kind of neutral fabric. I think that makes it look really, really nice. So I'll grab that one. Now, this one. I've been badgering this poor lady to sell this to me for months. Months and months. And she's on Etsy. Sorry. She's on Etsy. And you can buy these as PDF downloads. Let me take it out of the packet because I don't get glare. And I've loved this one for ages. And it's the Little Red Riding Hood sewing pocket. Now, since the pandemic, she's been selling these as PDFs. But I didn't want a PDF. I wanted that button. And there she is. Whoops, let's get her up into some clear area so you can see. There she is. So I think I must have emailed 3 times maybe since the beginning of the year, and it kind of got to the point where she said, look, if you email me in September, I'll send you one. So I'm hoping that she'll make them available again as you know, just for everyone. But yeah, she did send it to me because I kept badgering her for it. So there we go. I'm trying to find a nice little spot. Again, it's the Blair Witch episode. The episode where Michelle waves things about. And then the last bit of haul I've got is something I didn't think I would get. I never thought this would arrive. This is my metre, or my yard of murky. Picture this plus murky. 36 count. And it came. Look at that in its full gorgeousness. I've disappeared. Now, I'm a bit worried about showing this, seeing as so many people who I've swapped flosses with, or Flossdrops with, now have my address. Is there going to be people outside trying to get me murky? So yeah, I never ever thought that would arrive. I thought it would just go on back order, and it would sit on back order for months and months, and then it would just quietly get cancelled. But it didn't. It arrived, and it arrived sooner than it was meant to. Now, there's the one thing that I will say about this that I noticed when it arrived. This is the murky that I received, and this is the piece of murky that I already had. This is much, much more green. The splotches are much more green than the previous one. And I like it. I do like it. Although what I might do with some of it is maybe just put it through the wash on a very low wash and just see if it'll come to more of this colour. I'd only try it on a little piece. I wouldn't put the whole piece in, just to see if it would come to more of this colour, because then I'd have two options. I'd have the greeny kind of one and I'd have some of the blacky kind of one. So just bear that in mind if you're ordering more murky, that it might come up, it might be a little bit more green than you remember. Stitchy kindness. I've got so much stitchy kindness. I have got some more Flossdrops. So these ones, or this card, and these Flossdrops, she's got two designs, came from Ruth Abel, but I don't know if she's put her Instagram name on there. I'll see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll put it down. And these are the two different cards that she sent. And in her note, she says that the flag is East Yorkshire. Did I show that the right way up? I've got to check now, otherwise the whole of East Yorkshire will be telling me I got it upside down. So that way, according to the DMC. Okay. So it's the flag of East Yorkshire, and the map shows pretty much where she lives. Driffield, known as the capital of the Wolds, which is interesting because we have wolds around here, and a wold to us in the Cotswolds means a wooded hill. So there we go. Another piece of useless information that you didn't need today. But thank you very much, Ruth, for those. She also, I was just checking, enclosed this little card for me to do as a giveaway. So I'll add that to the giveaways, and closer to Christmas I will definitely give that away. Thank you very much, Ruth. And I had some cards from Jodie, who is Trixie Tricycle. So she sent me that lovely card there. It's called The Harbinger of Fall. And she's got two different types as well. She has got these ones, which if you're familiar with her FlossTubes, you'll know as the little picture that she uses for her FlossTube, which I believe is her on a tricycle. And then this is the other one. Let's try and make sure I've got it up the right way to show you. And I'm just going to read you the little card that came with this. It says, I took this photo in Seattle before the Alaskan Way Viaduct was demolished. When the elevated roadway was built in the 1950s, the Seattle Empire Laundry building happened to be in the way. Rather than rerouting the viaduct or tearing the building down, they just made a little notch in the railing. I was walking under that bridge and happened to look up and saw this little view. May we all learn something about finding solutions to scenarios when unstoppable forces meet immovable objects. So there you go, you can see again how that roadway was built around that building. So super interesting, thank you Jodie. And then these ones, let me get these away, there we go. These came from EdithKatz on Instagram, and she sent me this lovely card as well. I do love getting these in the post, I do love it. Every time I get home from school I'm like, let's go and have a quick look, see what's in the post. I'll do those in a minute. And Deb from Cottage Designs, I found an email from Deb and she sent me some more PDFs. We did a giveaway and I stitched one of her charts a few weeks ago now. And so she very kindly just popped a few others in my inbox. So I'm just going to show them to you. So this is Share Laughter. And this one is the mini alphabet sampler. These are all available on her website and I'll put all the details down below. Merry Christmas. That's such a beautiful one, so simple, but really beautiful. And that one I love that border and the flower and the words, everything. I like that. Kindness Matters. And then she included these ones as well, which are her Merry and Bright Christmas trio. And so it says jingle, ho ho ho, and merry on them. So those are lovely. Thank you so much, Deb. And another Deb, darling Deborah. And she is Deborah Darling Artist on Instagram or Etsy. I'll put all her contact information below. She sent me one of these, which is this lovely sheep beeswax thread conditioner. It's really big too, really big. So she sent me one of those. And she has been working on some new floss holders, some Halloween floss holders. So she sent me this bat, and again, let me try and get him in a bit of clear space. So there he is, beautiful kind of vintagey style graphics there. I love the fact that he's got a belly button. So there we go. And no Halloween is complete without a pumpkin and a black cat. So there we go. So you can get these now on her Etsy shop, and as I said, I will put all of the information down below. And she sent me a card, a wee donkey, and it says more items to come. So she is working on more designs for us, and they are brilliant. They really are. Now, the one thing that really matters, I think, with these floss holders is that the holes are smooth, so that when you're pulling your floss out, it's not going to go all fluffy and scaggy. That is a word, scaggy. And these are brilliant. Really, really good. So I can't wait to put those to use in some projects. So thank you for those, Deborah. Right. Do we want to know what's in this parcel? First of all, can we all just appreciate the packaging? It's one of those kind of like inflatable bags. Amazing. So I bought this on eBay. It popped up on a buy it now price, which it was very reasonable, very reasonable. And obviously it's going to be a sampler, but I think this is a bit of a special one. I've got to try and get it out of the bag now. It fits so tightly in here that it doesn't want to come out now. It doesn't want to come out. Hold please, hold please. Well, there goes my plans for a dramatic reveal. So the glass on the sampler and the plastic of the inflatable envelope had formed like an indelible or unmovable vacuum on one another. But she's out now. She's out now. So this is Elizabeth Jaffray, age 12, 1853. Now I'm going to try and get as little glare on her as possible. So she's got this gorgeous border, beautiful house. I think this is turkey work, but I haven't taken the back off yet. It's actually tacked onto a piece of cloth when it was framed. We've got a gorgeous alphabet up there, lots and lots of initials, which has helped me to find her. But the thing that made me just go absolutely for this was, look, there's a giraffe. There is a giraffe on this sampler. So let me try and show you a bit more, and then I'll tell you about Elizabeth because I found her. So we've got this alphabet at the top, and I thought just when I saw the pictures online that it was all eyelet stitches, and it's a mixture of different stitches. So there are some which are just plain crosses, and there are some which are actually a single big cross with the four corners kind of gone across the corners, almost make more of a diamond shape in a contrasting colour. So the D has done that, the R here, the S. Now again, there's probably lots more experienced sampler stitchers at me shouting at the moment and telling me the name of that stitch. So if you know the name of that stitch, it's got a big cross in the middle and then the sort of corners are picked out in different colours, then do let me know, because there's quite a few like that. And then we move down, so we've got a double row of alphabets, and I think I know again who most of those are. Sorry, all you can see is the reflection on the screen. This lovely floral border, big house, couple of trees. It literally ticks all the sampler boxes, doesn't it? Sorry, glare, glare, glare. Some deer, good name, not too hard to find, although there is quite a lot of Jaffrays in Scotland, which is where she's from, hence my tartan mug. But the giraffe. Now when I bought this, what I was worried about was that the giraffe looked darker than a lot of the rest of the stitching in the pictures. And I was like, oh no, hopefully it's not a sample and someone's just added a giraffe for random interest. But it is totally concurrent with the rest of the sampler. And what it actually is most of the sampler is stitched in normal thread, but there is some wool. So obviously the grass, the lawn outside the house, the deer are standing on bits of wool, and the giraffe is picked out mostly in wool. Hence why it looks a lot different, or quite different to the rest of the stitching. There is a little red dog, there's a little blue dog. I'm hoping that when I get the back off and undo some of the tacks, I might be able to find some better colours on the back. Not better, but some of the motifs have almost completely ghosted out, and even very close up they're very hard to tell what it is. So Elizabeth Jaffray, I'm going to sit with her. I'm going to sit with her there. I'll try and hold her there. Who is she? Who was Elizabeth Jaffray? So I have found her. No, I'm going to put it down. It's too heavy. I have found her. I thought she was Scottish, looking at the sampler, and she was born in 1841 in Lonmay in Aberdeenshire, and her parents were Andrew and Anne Jaffray, who were farmers. Now, the initials we've got here are AAJ, JJ, AJ, MJ, another AJ. There's a small one over on this side which I think is either an MR or an MK. WJ, that really ghosted out one. And then there's another AMJ, another JJ, and again some that side that are really ghosted out. So I think we've got Andrew Jaffray there, and then we've got Anne Jaffray there. She had lots of brothers and sisters, so she was the eldest, and then there was John Jaffray, Margaret Jaffray, Andrew Jaffray, William Jaffray, and then after she'd stitched this sampler, another two children came along, James and Mary. So their initials obviously won't be on here because they were born after the sampler was stitched. But I think we've got John Jaffray there, we've got Margaret Jaffray there, we've got another Andrew Jaffray there, we've got William Jaffray there, and I'm not entirely sure about some of these. Could be cousins, could be grandparents. I've got her grandparents on the Jaffray side, and I think one of them matches up, but I can't remember which one. So she married George Morrison, and she had lots of children herself as well. So she had John, Mary, Jessie, Margaret, William, Fanny and Ellen. So where does the giraffe come from? Why would a little girl, 12 years old in Aberdeenshire, stitch a giraffe? I don't know. I had a couple of theories. One of my theories was to do with Glenmorangie whiskey, but I managed to disprove myself, because Glenmorangie whiskey has a giraffe on their bottles, and it's to do with the fact that Glenmorangie has really, really long-necked stills, and they look like giraffes. They're made of copper, they look like giraffes. And it took me ages to find out when they actually first started using the giraffe as their symbol, because I thought, Scottish whiskey, where would you have seen a picture of a giraffe? Potentially there. Anyway, it was way, way later than this sampler, so I disproved my own theory. So my theory now currently stands with a man who ran a travelling menagerie, and it was One Wall's Travelling Menagerie, which later became Bostock and One Wall's Travelling Menagerie, but that was much later, right towards the end of the 1800s. And ooh, dropped it and kicked it, but it's fine. So let me get this right. So he had a travelling menagerie in 1805 is when he was born, and then started this travelling menagerie. 1845, there was an event called Giraffes on the Green in Glasgow, and it was where this travelling menagerie was displaying the giraffes. Now this travelling menagerie had previously been the first one to bring giraffes, or a giraffe, into the UK, and I found it said at the cost of £1,000. Unfortunately that particular giraffe lasted 3 weeks. I mean, it died 3 weeks later, but then later on in the 1800s they bought more giraffes, and in 1845 they had Giraffes on the Green in Glasgow. And I actually found the advertising poster for it, although it didn't have the date on it. I found the date elsewhere, so I'll put a little picture up of the advertising poster. So I am wondering whether our little Elizabeth either went to that when she was younger, when she was sort of, what was she born? She's 1841, so she would have been 4 or 5, or whether there were newspapers or things that she'd seen, whether it was still spoken about, whether it happened repeatedly, because there was quite a long history of travelling menageries in Scotland, and actually a travelling menagerie became the Scottish Zoo towards the end of the 1800s. So I wonder if that's where it came from, because other than that, it's just a beautiful Scottish sampler. But to have a giraffe on it, I think makes her extra special. And I'm so pleased to have her and to have found Elizabeth. And not broken the sample when I just kicked it. My dropsies returned again, you can see. And that's it from me. That's it from me this week. And I shall see you again next week, back in the normal place. Stay classy, Stitchers.